Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the organizers, the attendees, the audience, and my fellow panelists for the opportunity to present to you today, as well as I Am Movement and the NGC. My name is McQuilkin. I'm a manager on the investment banking team at Republic Bank, and I'm happy to present to you innovation finance for exploration and experimentation. So we'll start off at the high level. What is sustainable finance? Sustainable finance is a process of taking into account environmental, social, and governance considerations when making an investment decision. This leads to investments in well-balanced projects that promote long-term value creation. The global sustainability market is huge and growing. In 2021, the global markets raised $859 billion in ESG-linked capital. It's estimated that by 2025, the capital raise will be estimated at $53 trillion in ESG-linked global investments. What that tells us is this is a global market, and our stakeholders demand that we look at ESG in all of our considerations. Now, ESG can mean a few different things depending on where you are in the world. Here in the Caribbean, so on this chart, we look at the top 10 global countries, global emitters by country, without singling out any one country. The top 10 global emitters account for 69% of all CO2 emitted. Now, our Caribbean region, including all of our islands, Suriname, Guyana, the Big Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominica, all together, we would rank 37th in terms of global emissions, or roughly 0.33%. So with this data in mind, I would make the case that the Caribbean's impact or contribution to global emissions is relatively insignificant. However, we are severely impacted by climate change. So given this context, while global decarbonization is critical, in the Caribbean, I would argue that we need to focus on adaptation to ensure that our economies are resilient and our societies are resilient in the face of climate change. What does that look like in terms of a project pipeline? Well, we have a lot of work to do, as our speakers have been discussing. We think that areas where we want to play in the Caribbean will focus on renewable energy generation and energy efficiency. We need to make sure that we have the right forms of water infrastructure. We have to protect our environments. We have to put a price on our environments, like our prior speakers were saying. That is critical. We need to ensure that we're building resilient infrastructure, that we're working on food security. That's become very topical of late, given some of the macro environments. And most importantly, we have to ensure that what we're doing is carrying our societies up together, right? Inequality is on the rise, and we need to make sure that we're keeping these factors in mind when we plan our projects. As we look across our network of stakeholders, there are many, many opportunities. Starting at the large end of the scale with sovereign governments, we think that interesting opportunities for them will involve sustainable bond issuances. These bond issuances are a unique method for them to raise capital to build a resilient infrastructure, which will promote GDP growth and improve employment. At the utility scale, we think we're going to see a wave of renewable energy projects coming to market over the next 1 to 3 years, certainly picking up pace, as well as grid modernization and other initiatives. From a financial institution perspective, the opportunity is huge, and there's a lot at stake. We need to make sure that we're working with our clients to build stronger companies, build more resilient customers, right? We need to use our influence to achieve better governance and better risk mitigation. And I think through this process, we're going to create long-term value creation for our customers and, importantly, for our societies. When we look at manufacturers and hotels, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure from the global markets to see ESG being taken into account at a hotel level, at a manufacturer level. They need to look at on-site renewables, decarbonization methods to align their brand with societal expectations. And last but not least, certainly at the SME and the retail scale, we believe that they're going to benefit from opportunities for operational efficiency and low-cost substitution options, and that will increase their economic opportunities as well. Diving into sovereigns in a bit more detail. Now, this may be familiar to many of you, so I'll keep it quite brief. Blue bonds, as we'll see in our next coming example, is the ability to raise a long-term financing product to support ocean conservation and resource management. It's designed to strengthen our communities and ensure that we are enhancing coastal resilience, similar to, again, some of our prior speakers. Green bonds are quite similar, except designed for terrestrial environments. In 2021, 523 billion raised in global green bonds. However, from what I'm aware of, none in the Caribbean. So we have a lot of work to do. Of course, renewable energy, I think we're going to see a wave of renewable energy uptake over the next 1 to 3 years. And that will be interesting because it's going to build technical capacity as well as creating more employment in the region, which helps that societal uplift that we've been talking about. Now, this project is extremely exciting to me. As an avid sailor and a mariner, I mean, my early memories of childhood would be sailing through the Grenadines with my father, and I've certainly taken my son on fishing trips from a very, very young age. So what the Barbados government and the Nature Conservancy have managed to achieve is frankly fantastic in my mind. So they have managed to negotiate a deal where Barbados would redirect a portion of its sovereign debt service toward marine conservation initiatives. In doing this, they will fulfill their commitment to protect 30% of their maritime environment and stimulate the creation of their blue economy. Absolutely amazing. And this is not local to Barbados. Every island could be doing this. And I think from a strategic marketing standpoint, I mean, imagine the branding, right? Of course, there's all the virtuous effects in local economy, but still on a global level, Barbados, 30% of their marine environment protected. Wow. I certainly would want to go visit. I think they're doing very, very exciting things, and we need to follow suit and be very fast followers in our other territories. Now, shifting gears to finance, right? Of course, we need to put the spotlight on ourselves and make sure that we are also part of this journey. So how do we incorporate best practices in finance? We believe that it begins with internal risk assessment. Where are our risks? How can we get better? We need to have a data-driven approach towards ourselves, but also our clients, to ensure that our clients are also not missing any potential ESG concerns that may jeopardize them on a global scale. Through avid measuring, tracking, and reporting, we could measure ourselves against our targets. And through this process, we're going to integrate ESG into our risk management and our investment decision-making process. Confluence of these, we're creating an ESG culture within our organization and within our clients. And that is essential to make sure that we are staying in alignment with global initiatives. And that's critical to ensure that our organizations have long-term viability. And of course, we can't leave out our SMEs, although this is not necessarily specific to SMEs. So what this chart shows is really a flowchart of opportunities that any organization could take as they want to think about their ESG initiatives to reduce emissions as well as improve efficiency. So hopefully it's not too hard to see, but first and foremost, there's low-cost substitution. That may be in the form of LED light bulbs, different technologies that are readily available over the counter. These can save up to 30% compared to traditional means of lighting, for example. The second step would be, through that data approach, we can identify high impact, high return on investment capital projects that reduce energy consumption. So it's twofold: it's emissions reduction and it's energy efficiency, which of course provides cost savings and promotes societal benefits, which will be good for your brand and so on. Building on that, of course, is on-site renewables, distributed solar, rooftop solar, and so on, which will again lower the cost of energy production for your manufacturers and perhaps your hotels. And then lastly, in terms of low-hanging fruit, will be your technology switching and electrification where feasible. So say you run a fleet of trucks, you have a distribution company, shipping companies. Can we electrify those transportation vehicles and improve that efficiency over the long term? Perhaps a step off after that would be off-site renewables and purchasing of RE credits, which I think is a different category. That's not taking in control of our process as much. So we think there are a lot of opportunities for everyone to participate. This is not just a big company thing. And in closing, just to talk about our outlook for the next 3 years, and in keeping with the theme of the presentation, which is ideas for exploration. We believe that we will see a lot more blue bond issuances over the next 1 to 3 years. I think governments have a unique opportunity to access capital and improve their sustainability-linked projects. However, this requires a lot of cross-functional collaboration. It's not easy to achieve. In terms of renewable adoption, we think there's going to be rapid acceleration of RE projects across the region. We think the utility providers are going to jump on board. We certainly have been seeing it across our regions. And we wonder which countries are going to have a first mover advantage. What spin-off economies are we going to see, right? What will be the real growth factors that come on the back of these changes? We haven't quite seen that yet, but we're quite excited to see how it unfolds. In that same vein is the rise of decentralized generation, right, that can promote improved resilience and capacity within our domestic economies, and certainly bringing together many of these issues or these opportunities in the form of nexus projects such as agri-solar. Now, financing can be a challenge, and only looking at one end of the financial capital structure is perhaps incomplete. So how can we bring equity markets into this to achieve more of these opportunities at a faster pace? I think one idea that we could consider is around securitization. If it costs $100 million to build a solar facility in a country, perhaps we can securitize it and get some of that equity back, allow participation by our institutional investors as well as our retail investors. And therefore, we are really creating a closed loop system where we have buy-in all through our capital structure, right? Our whole society is involved and benefiting from these changes. Exciting things to come. And lastly, closing on employment and manufacturing, I think that this could be an opportunity to improve our competitiveness of manufacturing in the Caribbean. You know, in some of the islands, cost of power is 30 to 40 cents per kilowatt. Could not even imagine that as a very happy Trinidadian with his AC, right? However, I lament for my Caribbean colleagues that have to bear that cost. And in any case, I think there's going to be a lot of growth in this sector and growth in expertise in renewables, which again will promote. I'm curious to see which countries are going to benefit. Where is the expertise coming from? Where is the manufacturing factories going to come from, right? And how do they leverage that? Are we on the cusp of seeing another regional conglomerate in renewables? Exciting times ahead. So keeping it brief, that is it. Thank you everyone for your time and attention and to the attention.